Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Let's Analyze! The time has come for us to analyze the summer banner we totally didn't expect, right? Yup, totally. Everybody act surprised, okay? Now before we begin, I just want to let everyone know that I didn't expect the titles to be so completely different from the Chinese version to the English version. Though I think I will continue to translate these things in the future anyway, if given a chance, because it is interesting to know what the titles are like in the other languages. But anyway, on to the analysis. So the first hero we get presented to us is Cordelia. Now, as I mentioned before, her weapon is a shell lance, and that among all of her peers who gets the +2 to all stat spectrum blows weapon for this summer, this weapon easily suits Cordelia the most, because she's a goddamn genius. And her awesome spread of 35-35 offensive stats is something no doubt that'll get carried over. And since nowadays we deal with power creep in its full glory, seeing her carry 38 attack and 38 speed with that stupid lance to even it out to 40 is not going to surprise me in the very least. You can further amplify this advantage by using anything like Life and Death to Swift Sparrow to Fury, or the new skill that's coming up for Tana, but I'll talk about that in a bit. Boring, but that's just how perfection is. Currently, there's not much else Cordelia can use that would be much better than the A slot. I suppose you could use Distant Counter, but then you'd have to switch weapons. Maybe Daft Harpoon off Summer Robin? Anyway, so the second toy she comes with is Doll Clothes, which on the surface might not look as good compared to the range version because there's currently no blade type melee weapons. Well, unless Levitane gets released at some point down the line, which I wouldn't be too surprised once our Bully of the Year, Surtur, bites the dust somehow. At any rate, this toy is especially great on someone like Cordelia because her vast speed likely precludes her from needing her B slot for quick repulse. Horses didn't get Wrath, though I guess I could make a point about God being better. But the ability to negate buffs on the enemies she fights at close range will be a very powerful boon. Consider this, alright? Tactics are getting more popular. So now she'll be able to tear people who might have been able to fight back at some point and tear them into shreds by completely overpowering them with her powerful raw stats. Now, guys who might have been able to stop her from using Heavy Blade Seal? Not anymore. Goddamn Cordelia will rip them a new one and then use Gale Force she inherited from herself to go and tear another person a new one. Although I think it's more Cordelia being awesome over the skill itself being completely awesome, it is a powerful compliment to Cordelia and is something worth considering using on her. Okay, so the next hero we have Noir. Now, we all know how skimpy LA Noir dresses, so here is the perfect solution to all of life's problems. With that, all of her evil is contained and will no longer foul this family-friendly game where girls purposely break their back in order to give our viewers some ass. Jokes aside, I think that Coco Bow is fine by her, as archers tend to value offense rather than defense except in a few rare cases. And yes, this damn thing also fires in spurts. And it will hurt. I mean, just look at the size of these coconuts. Alright, now next is the main reason why I am contemplating summoning for her. See, her Infantry Rush is an absolutely disgusting tool that gives infantry units within 2 spaces the ability to not have to use up their more useful A slot or Seal slot for Heavy Blade. If she uses Heavy Blade herself, then the entire army gets Heavy Blade, and that is a terrifying sight to behold. But wait, the real singular most important reason to use Infantry Rush is that it can benefit infantry healers who normally cannot use Heavy Blade on the A or C slot. Well, in theory anyway. I'm gonna have to get this skill to test it out, but I don't see any reason why it won't work. Anyway, so with this, now horrible Satan spawn monsters such as Demon Maria, Sarah Moon, Latches, Sheep Nino, and Dr. Sakura can use this to infinitely regenerate through Miracle. So for example, alright, Lolly latches onto one of your units and starts sucking their blood. You thought you were saved because, oh, you've been a good boy and had an Ignis for a few days, and now you can blow her head off in a torrent of agonizing cum. However, she now sucks more of your blood each time she attacks. And she has grown so powerful, she just swallows whatever you've dealt to her and survives with 1 HP, and then suck you dry on the following attack, gaining yet another 2 charges for her next Miracle, while, of course, because of Absorb, it brings her over 1 HP so that she can use Miracle again. This evil, of course, goes way beyond merely Absorb. Now, the 6 Paths of Pain Plus can survive attacks they normally would not be able to, and enter the dreaded, most holy state of Savage Vantage much easier, countering their enemies to death and bring destruction to all. Now, you might ask, healers get such piss-poor attacks. How will they be able to take advantage of this? Well, they're healers. Horrifying monsters like Dr. Sakura can unleash a deadly fear of -7 attacks. While, of course, in general, healers tend to have high resistance to cripple the enemy with any type of ploy, like attack ploy for instance, so they can mess you up in ways you couldn't possibly believe. They will weaken your attack, and then they will absorb everything and survive with Miracle, and then they will come back to attack you again. That is terrifying. If they want to mess you up, believe me, they will find a way. Now, how does this skill compare to its cousin, Infantry Pulse? Well, Infantry Pulse is a technique about stacking HP on top of another to gain an immediate advantage in a fight. Honestly speaking, I think that it's probably still a bit stronger compared to Infantry Rush, as due to the lack of large-scale battles in general outside of Grand Conquests and rival domains in this game. Taking someone out with a fierce attack in the first round can often decide an entire fight. Now, for those who haven't seen the Magic Wife video where Calm fights against my team, Magic Wife obliterated Lilina with her magic bite, despite the fact that 1, she's a red mage, 2, she's minus attack, and 3, Lilina still actually has some pretty decent res on her. After blowing her head off, Julia just went about like a completely uncontrollable rabid dog who murdered someone who could have killed her instead, and then proceeded to bite the rest of Calm's team to death. Now that, my friend, is why Infantry Pulse is so horrifying. The second advantage Infantry Pulse has is that it doesn't need to do any other silly calculations outside of your HP. So rather than comparing the dick sizes of your attacks or getting weakened by God, Infantry Pulse is always there for you. Now the third advantage is of course that it's a map-wide buff. So once used, it's there forever, and you don't have to be near anyone anymore. And that is why Julia destroyed everybody on that fight. Thanks to the evils, that is, Lolly Latches, who gave her those fangs. But anyway, so it might sound bad for our dear Infantry Rush, the new boy in town, but that is not so. Now, first, because of the way Rush works, you only need to have 1 copy to operate it. So you can either have your allies carry heavy buffs or do something terrible like, using Infantry Rush on your lowest HP infantry unit and then continue to use 3 infantry pulls anyway, allowing you to achieve the best of both worlds. Second, as I've already listed, it frees up the A and seal slot for units, allowing them to achieve greater deeds without the need to sacrifice anything. And third, though it does get itself involved in silly calculations, generally when you bait units you're surrounded by friendly buffs or drives, which means you shouldn't have too much trouble getting started. And because of its loose restrictions, you can just, run it with another infantry unit, and then have 2 tactics-capable units provide powerful +6 stats instead. And finally, the most important reason of all, it is reusable. Unlike infantry pulls who fizzles out after one come, with Infantry Rush, you can blow your load, lick it off the floor, and then blow your load again. This allows one extremely powerful unit to just sit at one spot and just dish out brain damage attack, one after another after another. And so, with much regrets, I think I might have to tap into more Veronica orbs again to summon a couple more Nors. Fate is against me, but I value my healers more. Though technically I am still saving orbs of Veronica, and I will show you how I'm doing it soon. Next up, we have Innes, the sole guy on this banner. Now, compared to Nor, he is not as interesting. And no, it's not because of the coconuts that fires in spurts that she could just lick off the floor and spurt again. It is because he still yet gets another +2 to all stats spectrum blow weapon, and of course being yet another flying seasonal unit that IS has a hard-on for. Due to his original stats, his death might be his Achilles heel when it comes time to get physical, though I suppose with power creep stats they might remedy it and make him an even more boring unit. Now he does come with one fun toy though, and that is Death Feint. Not quite as useful as Tharja's Speed Feint, Death Feint does allow Innes to fire a deadly anal beam that causes his opponent to lose a chunk of defense whenever he analyzes them, and gets a buff by rally or something, or if he buffs someone else's with one. As aforementioned last time with Tharja, due to dual rally scoring higher on the arena, this skill will certainly see more use, and can certainly provide numerous advantages to those teams who don't have mobility installed for the purpose of score or whatever reason. Given the majority of tier 20 are armored units, this will fit well into repertoire, if you're willing to sacrifice Innes to them somehow. Otherwise though, just think of it as a fun little toy that helps Innes chop things up better, courtesy of Tharja. Now, I still prefer Death Ploy though, since you don't have to waste a turn with Rally and can have your more valuable B slot open. Since Innes is likely going to have high res because of his original stats, I do say, consider your options carefully. And finally, we have Tana, who is absolutely beautiful in her swimsuit. She comes as the sole owner of a pref weapon, and that is the Fruit of Idun, which gives her the ability to guidance any allies within 2 spaces to a space next to her, an opposite of a flyer red Halloween Naui, which came before her. Now, compared to Naui, I find that her Grimoire to be more useful than Fruits of Idun because, again, generally the units you want to guidance are infantry and armor anyway. And since flyers and horses can generally take care of themselves, which is something that you can already get from normal guidance, you ended up using something that would have only taken up a far less important C slot. Grimoire, of course, also gives Naui the element of surprise, giving her great coverage to destroy and crush. Given that Tana has amazing attack and speed, and also gets +3 speed on top of that from the weapon, had things been reversed, it would have made Tana into a far more dangerous unit to deal with. Now, I suppose you could cover this deficit a little bit by, say, using aerobatics from Flying Nino. But, well, this comes with an opportunity cost of a B slot, and of course, a Flying Nino. Game Press will probably suggest Blade Tome for her, and honestly, I cannot disagree. It's much like how it is with Flying Nino, but except in damage, she simply have an unremarkable effect. Now, she does come with another fun toy, and boy is it fun. That is Attack and Speed Push. Now, this fun little thing allows her to dish out 5 attack and speed without the cost of losing 5 depth and res. So instead, now you just pay a small toll of 1, hopefully, non-lethal damage at the end of battle if your unit attacked. Attacked as in attacking someone straight up or counterattacking. So long as you hear your character go, "Ha!" that means you need to pay $1 at the end of the fight. Now, because this wonderful 5 attack and speed can only apply itself if you have 100% health, you cannot use this in continuous combat, like, after getting hit again and again, or using it with Vantage. Unless you have, guess what? A healer ready, and or self-healing skill like Noontime or Aether on standby. Allowing characters like President Obaro Eternal to suck health and fight all day and night. I'll reveal Eternal at some point, but let's go with Re-elected in about a couple days, or maybe next week. Anyway, because of the way this skill preserves your bulk and can work on both player and enemy phase, this skill is superior to everything that came before, as long as you make some concessions and plan your fights to only deal with 1 unit per turn, which honestly is pretty easy to achieve, especially if you plan things out for enemy phase. So, because of this, what is truly scary about this skill is that I have a sinking feeling. I have a sinking feeling that it might work for healers. If that is the case, then I really need to spend on this banner. Like, really. It'll bring forth some terrible destruction for characters like Doc, Overlord Elise. Even Jenny, who is kinda slow, will suddenly become a horrendous beast. I'm gonna need more than a few copies of this joke, especially now since it'll work with that horrid Infantry Rush. Intelligence System truly knows where my weaknesses lies, and that is in quality healer fodders. And with that, we end today's analysis. Those of you who can see past my brain damage has now gained knowledge beyond anyone else who don't suffer from brain damage. I thank you all for watching. Until next time.